confidence is created by you. You create your own confidence every day by what you think and by what you say to yourself.
I believe that once you start tapping into your full embodiment of self, true self, life will get lighter and things will become better. But if you're constantly in an old paradigm of not living your truth, it's going to get worse. If we can get the realness of the people we look up to, they will allow us to drop more into who we really are. We don't have to be so overwhelmed by their presence or who they are because we are just as that. The difference between people who have it all, who's doing it all, who we see all the time, they tapped into their remembrance energy. Spiritual Fitness Podcast. Back again. I'm your host, Eric Bigger, and I have another episode today. We're going to talk about life coaching, business coaching, growth strategies, direct, straightforward communication to get you to be your most authentic self. But I have to bring my guest along. Debbie Shadid. She's a business strategist for women. She's a life coach and empowerment coach, and she helped women tap into their authenticity to live their highest frequency from their soul's purpose. Debbie, welcome to Spiritual Fitness. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And you're right. I do want them to step into their authentic power and do what they really are finally meant to do.
Let's give people a little bit of background or context on your authenticity of your journey and your story to get you where you are today.
I have been in business. I've been a solopreneur for 25 years.
Yeah.
So I've been at this a long time. I should tell you, when I started my journey in 2000 working for myself, I was single and I had a daughter, and she was young, and I just needed I was traveling down the highway and I was literally crying out to God saying, I cannot be away from her, hours away doing my sales job. I need to be with her. And I got an idea in my head of what to do. It was a business situation. And I went to the man's house in Texas to talk to him about it. And when I walked up to the door and knocked on the door, it's a very prestigious neighborhood, very fancy house. And the plaque on the front door said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And I was like, okay. So that was the start of I came in the house and I said, I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing here. I know that you have an opportunity that I'm supposed to take advantage of. I started my business journey that way. And I guess faith and spirituality has just been a part of it, really leaning into what should I do next kind of. So anyway.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So you said you were in that point of your life, you wanted to get back to your daughter. Were you on a sales job going into someone's home?
But I wasn't actually selling him anything, but I
Okay.
had been selling. I've always been in sales. That had basically been my career. And I was just looking for a way out. And through a connection, I knew this man had actually a wedding magazine that I could potentially publish in our local market. That's actually how I got started. I had a wedding magazine. They were women that are similar to life coaches. They were passionate about anything to do with weddings. Like they were passion led women who felt like they were doing what they were meant to do, but they knew nothing about business.
Mm.
And so when I started my magazine, I was selling advertising to these women, and they weren't going to make it. None of them. I mean, they didn't know how to manage their business. So I basically turned myself into a consultant to keep them in business, to keep me in business. So
Ah.
that's actually how my business consulting, and now what you would call coaching, that's how it was born. Survival of the fittest. That's what I was trying to do.
From that point on, how did you get to a point, not only from that point on, but prior to that, to trust your knowing or trust that authentic nudge that you got? What made you trust to knock on that door, to go up to this person and get what your soul was calling you to get for the benefit to help yourself, to help others, to help the world?
I think that I can only speak for myself. For me, there have been a few times in my life. I mean, I could probably name them on one hand when it was like I got literally an audible, like such clarity. This is what you are supposed to do. And sometimes it was around forgiveness, sometimes it was around career. The first situation was in my divorce. I should say my first situation as an adult. I think you have to make yourself available for that. You have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to hear, and then willing to take blind action. I'm a really fantastic action taker.
Yeah, and I think honestly, in the whole spiritual world, or just coaching in general, when you're starting out or you have a passion, but you don't know how to make it a business, I believe people have all the tools they need. They don't have the faith, the trust, the knowing to
Yeah.
take action. What do you think prevents most people from taking action on leaving a job, getting a divorce, taking that trip, getting in that relationship, asking for more money on a sale or coaching gig? Like, what prevents us from taking action?
Oh my gosh, it's fear of rejection.
Ah,
It's fear of two letters, N and an O, that go
wow.
together and make a word no.
That's
I
really
mean, it's so simple when it boils down to that. It's two letters,
you let
N
it.
O.
No rejection. Wow, that is so good. And why are we afraid of rejection? Like I think rejection, I always say is redirection, but it's actually good because I'd rather someone tell me the truth opposed to spinning me or telling me not right now. And then I come back weeks later trying to with the same offer. That no word, my mom would always say no is the prelude to yes. You
Ah,
take
I'm right.
no turns to on, right? I'm like, oh, I like that.
I like that too. Yeah. I had a coaching, a business, I coach all around business. So
Yeah.
today in my, career, I coach coaches, whether they're life coaches, whether they're health coaches, spiritual coaches, any career coaches, whatever. I help these women figure out how to do what they believe that they're meant to do at this point in their life, how to put themselves out there. So, how to get visibility, how to use the tech. I say I teach, tell, and show people, women specifically, how to get themselves clients. Essentially, rejection and fear. I had a client on Monday who was saying, I'm so afraid that people, her former coworkers, are going to see what I'm doing if I put
Mm.
myself on LinkedIn. And I'm like, okay, take that one step further. First of all, who is the who that you are actually afraid of seeing? Because usually it boils down to one person. It's not really all the people. Put a face and a name with the who you're worried about finding out. And then it's like, what is the worst thing that can happen? I
Mm.
think my mind goes on autopilot. We ruminate, we make stories. You have to be in charge of what's going on in your own head. Most people don't know how to do that.
It's true because I've had the gift and the privilege to take action without direction. I'm the guy, like, if I got an idea, I'm gonna do it. I won't think
Yeah.
about it as much as some people. They might take a little bit longer. I'm like, man, if it's in my soul, and then sometimes I might crash and burn. But I think you need both. But more importantly, when you feel something like you did with that guy or family you met, you just know. You don't need logic. You don't need statistics. You don't need data. You have a sense of knowing, and I feel like that is part of your spiritual fitness. That's your spiritual truth, your discernment, trusting higher power, and knowing like this is for me. I don't know how or why, but I can feel that I'm supposed to take this route. Like in 2021, when I started my coaching business, I
Mhm.
knew I had to pivot from social media, influencer brand deals to TV shows. I want to coach. I want to help people. So 2021, I made took action and set that intention, and here I am. For you and your business with women, because I have the opportunity to coach a lot of women, very successful women, and their journey is a little different. It's around love, but for the women you attract, what do you feel like is beneath the rejection that they don't want to be seen doing something they love? What is that? Because it's like they have this passion, they love what they get to do, but when it comes to business, it's like, I don't know. What's stopping them, you think?
Well, one of the things that I do in my business is I help people be seen as successful before they are. And that's
Oh,
about
let's talk
brand
about
image. That's about looking good. And I don't mean looking good like this, because I always say to people, nobody should look like me because I'm the only one who can look like me. You could
that.
be in fitness clothes,
Yeah.
but you should, like, energetically and all that, be yourself and be your best self. I think the problem is that, truthfully, this, there is skill. You can be a coach, but there's skill to talking about your business. There's skill to showing up. There's skill to, and again, most of the women that I work with 20-year-olds, but most are 50.
Yeah.
I told you I'm 61. So most people are attracted to me the age that I am. They didn't do social media like maybe you did. They
Yeah.
haven't had that same exposure. I try to help them look good and feel good at whatever level that is. I was telling somebody yesterday, confidence is created by you. You create your own confidence every day by what you think and by what you say to yourself.
Yeah, and I tell people whatever you believe will be true, and whatever
Yes.
story you tell yourself, you will create in your reality,
Yes.
consciously or unconsciously. I did hear you mention just a few minutes ago about you help women, people listening, because there's going to be women listening to this podcast who want to start a business or who have a business. You give them the formula or the steps to make money. How does that work from you? Like, what does that look like?
I have a framework called the Profitable Coach Framework.
Got it.
And it essentially, the first really thing is I want people to get aligned with exactly who they are and to really step in. You and I had a conversation about I teach women how to use their God given gifts in the world. And they're all coaches. They feel like they have a purpose, like this is their purpose at this point. And it first comes with understanding of like, you are an expert. You have again, I have to help them have confidence in themselves and believe in themselves. It's unfortunate a lot of people don't show up feeling that way already. You can take without ever going to get certified. I mean, certification is great. I happen to be certified too, but it's unnecessary. It's not a required deal, right? We all have knowledge that we have acquired either through trainings, courses, books, podcasts, all the things that we're talking about. But also you have life experience. That culmination of that makes you an expert to serve somebody. So I have to help them first do that. And then, of course, there's all the marketing that I teach. I only teach free marketing. I don't teach ads. I really think it's important for everybody to know how to market their business without spending a dime on ads. And I always say, until you've earned $100,000 in your business, you should not spend money on ads. There's a lot of skill that has to be learned to be able to do that until they turn on ads. Ultimately, the journey is how do you get clients? It's through marketing. So I have to teach them that.
It's through marketing and being your ideal, authentic self,
Yeah.
how you're created from your niche. I want to
Yeah.
read something that you wrote on your Instagram. I'm gonna read it out loud and you tell me. I kind of like what you were saying. I was doing all the things, creating free content, hosting workshops, showing up on social media, but still my list wasn't growing and my leads weren't converting. What was missing? I wasn't nurturing the people already on my list. I thought one great freebie would do the job. I assumed they just know how amazing my coaching was, but they didn't. That's when I realized you have to guide your leads step by step, email by email, message by message. Once I created a simple nurture sequence, everything changed. Leads
Yeah.
became clients, my email list started to making money, and I finally felt confident about how to show up and serve. You don't need to guess what to say in your emails. You just need a proven path. That's why I created the email nurture sequence template to help you move your dream clients from just looking to ready to work with you. Can you elaborate that? That was great.
I'm sure you could relate to this when you started your business too. The online space is so interesting
Yeah.
because it's full of, I'm not going to say, you and I know some people who've made boatloads of money
Yeah.
and they've made it in a short amount of time. But there's also a lot of people who haven't made money, act like you can be sitting on the beach drinking a margarita and making money. And that just, in my opinion, is unfortunate mistruth and misrepresentation of you being a business person, a CEO of your own companies. You know, I tell people it's not fair to think that if I meet you today, Eric, you're going to buy coaching from me.
Right.
I think that you should expect to love and nurture people and to help them understand how you can support them. And when you approach it that way, I tell people, like, what if it took a year? It
It took
might take
eight
a
months.
year.
It took me 8 months to get my first client.
That was you like pouring into your business.
Hosting six
And
times a day.
yeah, learning how to talk, learning how
Right.
to be a person who had a business. You have to be willing to do that. I tell people all the time, you're going to quit before you get there. And the get there could be the next day. Mindset practices that I teach is called Take 5 minutes. You know, mindset coaching, sometimes you can spend a lot of time journaling. And I
Mhm.
call it also it's like buffering. It's like eating chips on the couch. Sometimes you can be journaling away and never do any work. This Take 5 is ask yourself 5 questions, give yourself 5 minutes to answer them. So they're kind of like one-word questions. At the end of the day, you do 5 questions in the morning, 5 at night. At the end of the day, one of the things is give yourself self-appreciation. And it's like, thank yourself for what you did, right? 8 months.
8 months. And
You,
that month
yeah,
I attracted that client, I wasn't looking for it. But when I was looking for clients, I couldn't get them. And it was
yeah.
one of my biggest clients to this day. And they've been
It
spending time
always
with me for years.
happens when you least expect it. That's what people
Yeah.
tell me. And I'm like, oh no, it didn't happen when you least expected it because you do all this other stuff and then it compounds and there you are.
It's true. And I think what it is like you got to trust the process, you got to trust the work, and you got to give yourself grace and acknowledgement for what you're doing and how you're doing it every day. Because just this morning I was thinking, I'm creating a lot of new content. And sometimes you get in a space, at least for me as a creator, I'm like, all right. But then an hour ago or 30 minutes ago, someone's like, oh, I'm loving all this new content you putting out. It's so inspirational. I'm like, see, right? People are watching. You might not get what you want, but I think more importantly, I want to tap into authenticity and
Yeah.
how creating content from an authentic place versus a professional or perfect place is so much better and so much greater. What is your definition of authenticity, and how do you teach clients to be authentic in their business?
Being your true self without looking, I say, like, stop looking to see what everybody else is doing. Unfollow the people that are causing you discomfort because you're looking, thinking. I want you to really sit down, like with blinders on. I ask them questions, and figure out who you are and how you want to talk about your business and how you want to show up. That is, gosh, all the way around so key. One of the things is with AI today. I just created a training for a summit that I'm going to be in all about AI. And my talk is all about preparing AI to be your greatest support tool. We have an opportunity here, you and I and everybody else, to show up as ourselves while AI is pumping out content. I'm not saying that I don't use AI, because I use it every day. I'm in charge first of what goes in there, and then I'm in charge of what comes out and what I decide to use out of it. I think we're going to get to a place where people are desperately seeking. I think they already are, actually. There was life before COVID and life after COVID. And I think post COVID, people are just craving connection. We're all sitting at home like this.
Mhm.
Life's just changed. So I think as coaches, and I think we have an incredible opportunity, people also want real connection. And that comes from being honest and truthful, having integrity. That's like one of my biggest values is integrity. You better tell the truth. You better
Mhm.
show up as your best self. Be honest. There's just not a lot of that. I don't know.
Is a testament of this new truth consciousness we're tapping into. In the
Mm,
old paradigm, the old ways, the old earth versus the new earth. It's the old way of thinking is fake it till you make it, act,
yeah.
play up to this character, this image, and then people are like you, people will follow you, you'll get fame, you'll make money. But what happens is over time, you can't sustain that because you're not being your true self. And
Yeah.
because of since COVID, as we've grown in society and the world, people don't care about how many followers you have, how much money you make, who you're with, what you know, until they know how much you care and how real you can be and if you can relate to them. Over time, I realized, like, because I was in that thread of energy of wearing a mask and being this positive guy, but I really was sad, but no one knew, and I'm successful, look at me, but I wasn't being true to who I was because I thought I had to play an image based on how I was raised and what I was around and my perception. So I was giving people the perception of me, but not the reality. And I think now people really want the reality of the people they perceive. Because if we can get the realness of the people we look up to, they will allow us to drop more into who we really are. We don't have to be so overwhelmed by their presence or who they are because we are just as that. The difference between people who have it all, who's doing it all, who we see all the time, they tapped into their remembrance energy. They remember who they are. We're all have everything we need without anything. We come here whole and complete, but because of distraction, distortion, mass media, programming, we've been distracted from our heart and from our power. We like to compare. We like to look over the fence, and we don't give ourselves the opportunity to say, no, I am great as I am. I can do wonderful things and I'm amazing. And I can be confident as well, but I don't have to look like what I'm seeing. I can just look and be the way I am. And I think that's the real testament. And here's the thing. I believe because we're in this truth consciousness, I believe the truth consciousness is part of, they say Jesus is returning, is I believe that once you start tapping into your full embodiment of self, true self, life will get lighter and things will become better. But if you're constantly in an old paradigm of not living your truth, it's going to get worse. And I think you're going to get exposed. I had a previous guest, her name is Sarah Anderson. She's a business coach as well for women. And she said, what I believe about life and people, everybody wants exposure, but they don't want to get exposed. But if you
Yeah.
allow yourself to be exposed by being authentic, like you said, Debbie, you will get the exposure, you will get the clients, you will have the momentum, you'll make the money, you'll get married, you'll have the kid, you'll take the trip because you're not doing it for likes or followers. You're doing it because this is how you feel. I want to help people. I knew part of my life's work was to help people help themselves to be who they need to be. And then that's how I get to help change the world. I just think what we get to do is so beneficial to our life, our souls, and the evolution of where we're going. For you in this moment of life, what do you think is your greatest strength, and what do you think is your biggest struggle or challenge?
I think I tell people I'm going to believe in you until you can believe in yourself.
That's good.
I can see the gold in somebody when they're talking to me. And I can see people who aren't ready for what I have either. And I'm like, we're not a match here. I'll say, I'm going to believe in you until you can believe in yourself. And I think that I can take what feels like overwhelming how to be in business. I think I can make it very simple. And people will say, like, oh my gosh, I got that in one sentence, what you had to say, because I'm not trying to be smart. I'm not trying to be fancy. I'm just trying to tell you how to do this. And so many of the marketing things even are everything's so overproduced, and it doesn't have to be. I want to go back to one point about authentic self. One of the other reasons why I tell people, you better be you. And you better talk about something that you don't have to read one more book on. You better talk about something you don't have to prepare for, because you and I have to create a lifetime of content. And if we're going to create a lifetime of content, and I plan on being wildly successful for, I don't know how long, I have no plan of retirement, whatever that looks like, I have to be able to sustain talking about what it is I'm most passionate about. And when you're not fully aligned with what you are doing and what, like, that God-given thing, when you're trying to fit yourself into people want to have a niche that they think will be a money-making niche. And I'm like, no, we pick a niche and we make it a money-making niche by doing the right things for it. So anyway, I know that was off track, but that's the whole
No, that was
thing.
on track. I think that was great. I think we had a conversation prior to getting on, and I want you to speak a little bit on this.
Yeah.
We're talking about when you work with some of your clients, and I think we kind of grazed over a bit here. How do you get someone to step into a business niche that they love but doesn't make sense to the masses? For me, for instance, when people want to know what I do, I was like, oh, I help people become their best self, help them shift their paradigms, improve their EQ, and become spiritually rich. That's just you generalizing. It's like, okay, so what does that look like? You get people who want tangible things so their mind can justify what you do, or so it can understand what they think you do so they cannot question what you do. That makes
Yeah.
sense because a lot of times when we're looking at people, we're always looking at what comes with them person. Okay, so who do you know? Where did you get your certification in? Who did you
Mhm.
study under? And
Yeah.
then we justify those things based on what a person is telling us what we do instead of connecting to who the person really is in front of us instead of what they have done or who they know. How do you get someone to kind of trust that knowing that's new to the world, but it's common to them and they're going to start a business?
Well, I mean, first of all, they almost hand over trust to me.
Got it.
They really do. Temporarily, they hand over trust to me and they're saying, I don't know. And I always tell people, please take your time in deciding to work with me. I mean, yeah, it's fantastic when people are like, yes, I want to start today. I mean, I love that moment. But also, if somebody's just a little bit hesitant, I'm like, tell me what you need to know to feel comfortable. Also, take your time so that when you come, you're ready, right? Because you have to trust me enough to
Mhm.
guide you and to lead you along the way. Plus, I have to tell you, if I have somebody who's a little bit on the fence about their niche, I'll start doing research, and AI is fantastic for this. It's unbelievable. You can Google, not Google, what was like AI chatting?
Chat GPT.
I know, but what's the word for it? Like Googling, it's something else. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it does feel like
yeah,
Google for sure.
you can go there and ask it anything about. Sometimes I'm on a call with somebody and they're sort of spinning around about their niche. And my theory on niche. So I had a lady who wanted to coach women around anxiety. And I'm like, okay, well, that's like a category like huge. And she's like, yeah, like 30 to 70. Okay, I'm 61. What a 70-year-old wants is different than me. What a
Yeah.
50-year-old wants is different. So I'm like, let's narrow that down a little bit further. And then I was like, well, why would somebody be struggling with anxiety and where are they at? And she said, well, like I tried traditional medicine and I don't want it anymore. And I'm like, okay, so now you're 40, you have anxiety, you did traditional medicine. And so what did you want? And she's like, an alternative approach. So
Mm.
I'm like, okay, so you want alternative something. I started Googling, chat GPTing, all this stuff. It got down to there were still millions of women who wanted support. And I'm like, look, as a coach, if this is something you know so well and you can like embody, we both know that word embody, you know it to be true, like you've had the anxiety, you've tried the stuff, and it really is your story. Why would you not want to? And you got to the other side of it. Why would you not want to share that? And I've just proved to you that there's millions of people. Look, the thing is, if there's you with your situation, there's somebody else. It's just sometimes I have to tell them to trust me. Sometimes I have to tell them to, let's find some evidence. I call it creating your own evidence bank. When you have that moment of doubt, to go to your evidence bank and go, I am doing something that is a real business.
And well said. In today's world, we're in the age of Aquarius. Aquarian energy is innovative and more independent, more like you're creating something new. It goes against the grain, it goes against the system. It creates its own system. Like AI, it creates its own software or opportunity that might not benefit what we were on the last 20 years. People don't want to work anymore. People don't want to go to school. So things are changing and we got to adjust. For you in business, I want to pivot just a bit. How does spirituality and how does God show up in your business when it comes to coaching and getting what you need for your fulfillment?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about my clients and then I'll talk about me.
Yeah.
I do not say anywhere that I'm a believer in God. I don't say that anywhere.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is how many clients that I have that are pastors' wives or former pastors or
Oh, wow.
leaders or they're right. It's
Wow.
really unbelievable. After they come into my space, somewhere it'll come up where I'll have a mention of something about church or about something, and they'll say, like, oh, wow. I'm like, yeah, I didn't even put it out into the world. It's not that I hide it. I think that people have an idea about what a church girl is. And that's what I kind of say I am. But I also drink wine and I also say shit. So there's other things that I do that are not maybe what a lot of people think. And yet I love God and God loves me. I attract a lot of people that are on that same journey. As far as myself goes, look, I really depend on God to give me guidance. And I shared with you before we got on, I feel like last year I was really going for a massive goal and it required me to basically change my business structure. And I brought on new team members and new systems. And I really and now have myself in a place to like really multiple times my business. The whole foundation is set. Things are really like my house is really in order. I worked with a couple of people last year, actually, two different people that on face value and like what they were saying that they had done. And I think they had success. After I paid them very substantial amount of money, both of them, there was just a mismatch. And I kept hearing, I would say a whisper, and maybe it was a shout, like, don't do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I kept thinking, like, no, I'm going for the goal that I know God wants me to go for. Like, I have this mission that is huge to help. There is thousands of women that need my help because I am very simple and very basic and I can help people do things. I fill a gap that others don't. I'm not building fancy funnels. We're
Right.
just trying to grow an email list from zero, right? We're not trying to launch a program. We're trying to get our first client. I'm this beginning stage that a lot of people just don't offer. So anyway, I keep rambling on about
No, I
different.
think it's no, because here's the thing. I want to speak on this because I think it's so vital for the world at large, for everybody who's going to listen, watch this episode, because I think there's just something to say about spirituality, the presence or the frequency of God in your life, also in your business. And I think we don't give that energy or entity or deity enough credit because we want to act as if we got this all on our own, which some of them might feel that way. The challenging thing with that is like when tragedy happens, devastation happens, what is the first thing most people say? Pray for this, pray. Everyone gets into prayer mode. And I'm like, why are we getting in prayer mode when there's destruction where we should be praying every day. We should be praying before we get
Yeah.
calls. We should be praying for these clients. I literally, before I get on a call with a potential client, I ask God to, if this person is for my highest good and is going to serve me and I can serve them, make it certain so it is. Right?
Okay. Speaking about Instagram, I
Yeah.
saw your what do you call that in your feed that I'm following? What's that called?
Broadcast channel?
Your broadcast channel.
Yeah.
I saw your prayer today
Yeah.
that you posted, and I was like, that's it. I mean, I wouldn't say that I have a formal sit down like this, but I'm like,
Yeah.
please give me the guidance that I need to help
Yeah.
these people. Please help me figure out why they're not taking action.
Mm.
Please help me make the investment that they made a worthy investment, because I can only go so far. Somebody has to meet me halfway, or maybe more than halfway. Help me help them see what is in them that they're not giving to the world. I appreciate that. And you guys, if you're not on his broadcast channel, you should.
Yes, join the broadcast channel because I started it with like 55. I think I'm at like 220. I'm gonna get it to 1,000 by the end of May members because I really, what I'm doing with that, just to people who knows, for you to know as well, is not that I'm doing like a trial and error, but I just want to see, right, how much value I can bring to a community and how consistent I can be and how much impact. I'm thankful that you said what you said because before I prayed this morning, and by the way, there's prayer channels out there that you can copy and paste and put in there. There's Chat GPT. That
Yeah.
prayer literally came from my soul. And I said, Holy Spirit, empower me to pray for the right things in this moment. And then I went to work. So I said the prayer. I'm glad and I'm happy to know that you read it and it did something for you. And that's the whole purpose of my platform, of this podcast, of everything I get to do is that to share and add value to help people amplify their gifts, their purpose, and their energy to be their best self. Because when we're in alignment, that is the assignment. It's not about what we're getting, it's what
Oh,
we becoming.
that's a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
And we're in alignment. That is our assignment.
That's it. This was an assignment. And by the way, you DM me this morning, say, hey, you think you want to do an interview today instead of tomorrow? I'm like, cool. You felt the nudge and you listened to that intuition or whatever came through. Here we are. And this is what I want to give people in business, in life, in dating, in relating. Trust your knowing, trust your God, trust your intuition, follow it with certainty. And I think things will open up for you. But it is challenging when you have different things out there to say, oh, I don't believe in this and I don't believe in that. And it's like, well, you got to believe in something because you're existing. Because you believe in the food you eat, you believe in the place you live, like you believe in something. I just think it's such a great opportunity to have you on here to talk about like your gift, your story, and your journey. But I do want to ask a question. When you think about spiritual fitness, what comes up for you, and what is your definition of spiritual fitness?
Oh my gosh, I love this. It's like staying in shape. I was thinking about one of the questions that you asked was like something about building a business. And I was like, it's like building muscle.
Spiritual muscle.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you cannot not go to the gym consistently and increase your weights or do your whatever and expect to have muscle. And
Mm.
it does not happen overnight. Why would you think your business could happen overnight either? I think spiritual fitness is really just staying in spiritual shape. And for me, and that's going to be different for everybody because I literally have no judgment about what anybody does. I just know what my soul needs. I don't have an opinion, anything. Feed your own soul the way you want to. For me, I do want to go to church. And it does feel like if I don't go on Sunday, it feels like I'm missing something. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but that is it. Like it's a roller coaster of sometimes you're all in and you're thinking about God and he's there and he's present. You see him, you remember him. And then there's a moment where you're like, which is why a channel like yours, by the way, is really helpful.
That's what when you're talking, I was thinking, I was like, that's spiritual fitness is going to the church of you every day without
Yeah.
physical church. Because when you stay in the church of you, the soul of you, even if things are not going your way, you're still connected to something in your source consciousness, your soul consciousness that gives you some type of grace and peace in life that make you know like you're gonna be all right. And if I just
Yeah.
stay in this, if I continue to pray, if I continue to go to the gym, I continue to get my rest, continue to do the things I know I need to do, and I ask for help and I be open to feedback and things that I don't know for my highest good, I'm gonna be okay. And I also got to be in the right environment. So another thing for the broadcast channel, it's the environment that I'm creating because I'm literally thinking of things before I go in there. Okay, what do I want to share? What do I want to add? Or I might get a nudge, share this. Sometimes I might say a prayer. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than us. And if we can make the world a better place throughout energetic fields, platforms, social media, LinkedIn, TikTok, broadcast channel, Facebook, Twitter, Threads, that's how we use these tools, this AI, help others. It benefits. I mean, I met Debbie doing a master class on House of Manifestation, Diamond Academy. And I said, hey, you just come on my podcast. Because
Yeah.
she's part of a community of women. It works just like that. And sometimes we don't allow ourselves to connect with the connection because the connection is always there. We just need to step into it and plug it in. It's really good stuff. And I'm just thankful for you, Debbie. How do we find you? What offers do you have right now, and how can we get in your vibration? We want to know more.
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say that. So you can find me at Debbie Shadid, SHADID.com. And I would love to connect with you. You can go over there. I have lots of free workshops and trainings and all of that. Something else I haven't shared with you that's happening that's super fun is a couple of years ago, I was thinking about our clients, and what I help them create is really a business. And most of our clients, either they have some clients, but they didn't have a business structure, like they had the clients, but not that. So they come for the structure, or they have nothing and they're just getting started. After working with me and them either growing somewhat from where they were or getting their first clients, I thought, what can I do what else do they need? It was that they needed respect, mostly from family members, coworkers, friends who think they're crazy. Like, why are you doing this online thing like that? So I thought, how do I help them be seen as experts, become authorities, elevate their own image of themselves, and get in front of people that are interested in coaching? So one of my other things in part of my mission is I want the world to work with everybody to know about coaching. And that can only happen if people are talking about it. You and I are explaining what coaching is and the value of what a coach can do for you. I want a doctor recommending a life coach. I want girlfriends out for dinner talking about their coach that they worked with. But again, that can only happen if people market their business, if they talk about the transformation, and if we make it something that is a normal, everyday thing, like therapy. It's so much better. I'm not going to say it's not better, because therapy has its place. Coaching definitely has a place to go. So anyway, I created a summit. It's called the Design Live Thrive Summit. It is for my clients to be the speakers. It's not for me to grow my business. It's for them to be showcased, and they teach 30-minute talk, which I help them write. We create the slides for them. We create all the marketing materials, like with their name on it. We write the emails. We give them social media posts. We give them a schedule. So like last year, we had 32 speakers on a platform teaching about whatever their thing was, like gut health or spiritual health or career this or next chapter, whatever their niche is. Educating, not selling, educating, so that people could understand why you went to hire a coach. So anyway, that is something super fun.
I've never heard that. Educating and not selling.
Yeah, there's no selling. You cannot
That's
make
a
it.
big shift. Because think
Mhm.
about it. If I'm educating you on what I do and what I offer, then you more intrigued or more engaged to buy instead of me like, hey, I got this product. Like, okay,
Yeah,
why should I buy your product? Like,
yeah.
that's so good. That's great language. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, they have to do good enough in their
Yeah,
talk, be convicted enough. Again, this is all goes back to alignment with
alignment.
authentic self niche.
Yeah.
They have to be good enough at that, confident enough, which is my job to help them get there, to be able to talk about and radiant. You attract like you're a
Yeah,
magnet.
right.
They don't have to sell. They go out there and they give a talk that is 30 minutes that's so dang good. And somebody's like, I got to talk to them. They'll connect with them after the summit's over.
And that's beautiful because you're giving people a platform, you're giving people a voice, and you're giving people opportunity to be seen, felt, and heard. And I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And that's why you are who you are. Debbie, well, what's the Instagram, with LinkedIn, Facebook? Where should we follow you?
Instagram, and it's just at Debbie Shadid. Yeah,
Debbie.
just find me on Instagram. I'm at Debbie Shadid everywhere. I have a
Okay.
podcast. I have all the things. And this right here we'll put on my YouTube channel as well, and
Yeah,
maybe
you have a
even my
YouTube.
podcast.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get all this
let's
to
do
you.
both.
People
Yeah,
follow her, tap into her frequency. She's amazing. And look, you see, she's giving people platforms and helping people be their best self in their niche of their passion. This has been a great episode. Thank you, Debbie, once again. Spiritual Fitness Podcast. People, do not forget to subscribe, share, and like, and go follow Debbie. We see you guys soon. Peace and love.
yeah.